Here we are with update 22.20. Now, it came out a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, can't really remember, but this update has a shit ton of changes and additions to the game. So first up, Saryn revisited. Now, her spores have had an increase to their status chance from 10% to 50%, and the spores will also scale off of ability strength. Now, a meter and an icon in the bottom right hand corner of your screen will show the number of affected enemies and how much damage is being dealt to each enemy per tick. Also, recasting spores will now detonate all active spores and will deal 2 times damage to any enemy affected by spores. The Venom Dose Augment has also received a change where spores casted on allies will temporarily grant them additional corrosive damage to all attacks. Now onto Molt. After casting, Saryn will receive a momentary speed boost for a short duration. Molt now scales similar to Rhino's Iron Skin, where all the initial damage it takes for the first 3 seconds will make Molt stronger. Now this will also show up as a buff indicator on the top right hand side of your screen, and once all the damage absorbed has been dispensed, Molt will explode, dealing toxin damage to any of the nearby enemies. Now in regards to Toxic Lash, they've increased the duration from 30 seconds to 45. Toxic Lash will no longer grant 2 energy restore when bursting spores, and the Contagion Cloud Augment has seen a minor change where kills with Toxic Lash leaves behind a toxin cloud, and melee kills double the damage dealt by the cloud. Now onto Miasma. A 100% guaranteed viral status effect has been added onto the ability on each damage tick. They've increased the range from 15 meters to 20 at max rank. They've increased the duration from 3 to 5 seconds, and Miasma will now inflict double the damage on targets affected by spores. Also, when recasting on the same enemy, it will refresh the tick duration and maintain the viral status effect, but it will not restun the enemy. As for the general changes to Saryn, they've increased the normal Saryn's armor from 175 to 225 at max rank, and for Saryn Prime, it's 225 to 300 at max rank. They've also added some minor effects and updates to the abilities, such as Spores, Miasma, and Molt. They've also added a small little voice when she casts her abilities. Spores have also been optimized, and they've added the stats for Saryn's Molt speed buff and duration to the ability screen in the arsenal. Moving on from that, we got Dojo Remaster Part 2. With the lighting remaster. So you can access this by going to your dojo, chucking down a polychrome, and it will be in the options there. Now we also received the whole rework to the obstacle course system, where we can now create our own obstacle course. So there's a shit ton of new items in there to be able to customize and make your own obstacle course, and you do that by going to the course room and working from there. Now in relation to what I just said, there's new items for the obstacle course itself. There's also new items for the dojo. So we have 37 new Tenno decorations, 54 Orokin decorations, and 5 new pigments for your dojo. Now the Shard Black will drop from Bombalus, Tower White Kondrox, Diva Grey from Tusk Bombards, Wisp Grey from Skiff Pilots, and Mortis Pink from Kawakas. Now we also received the new particle system. Nothing much to really go over here, it's just all the particles have been revamped and it's now running off of their own home-built particle system, and it's available for every GPU manufacturer, and it'll come to consoles eventually. Now you can change the settings for the particles in your settings. You can go off, low, medium, high, and ludicrous if you want to see that your computer can run it. Moving on from that, we got 3 new augments for Sentinels, with one being a rework for the Looter Augment, which destroys loot crates within a 12-meter radius just by doing a simple. Now for Reawaken, that's for the Jin Sentinel, and that makes it so upon dying, it will automatically revive itself after 90 seconds. As for the third one, that goes to Worm with Negate, and Sentinel prevents status effects from applying to its owner once every 5 seconds, so they seem pretty fucking useless. Now all of these can be purchased from Samaris' offerings in the relay, so if you want to get them and you have the points, go and purchase them there. Now for players on PC that use controllers, you now have the new controller and cursor system, where it's an actual cursor, kind of like Destiny's HUD system, where it's a little cursor and you just take it around to each of the tabs. Whether that's good or not, I have no idea because I don't use a controller on PC. Now moving on from that, the Scrambus and Combo units have also seen their changes, which we previously saw in a dev stream. and that basically makes it so the nullifying aura is now an ability that has to be casted by the units themselves, and upon casting it will highlight the unit, and then an orb will expand from the unit's position and disrupt any player's abilities for 2.5 seconds. Now if you do shoot the helmet off of the Scrambus units, it will disable the ability entirely for the duration of the unit's lifespan. Now the Dacian in the Plains of Eidolon has also seen some changes. They have increased the projectile damage from 250 to 450 and increased its clip size from 50 to 75. They've also increased the spawn frequency of the Dacian patrols and idle Dacian encounters when roaming the plains. Now, you can also use a couple of abilities onto these Dacians to transition into them. So the first one is Archwing straight into the Dacian. You get behind it and then execute a finisher. There's also Loki's Switch Teleport, where you use it on the pilot, you'll go straight to the Dacian itself, and finally shooting the pilot will just cause the Dacian fall straight to the ground, and you can pick it up there. Now spearfishing has also seen a HUD change as well. All the items that you have equipped will be shown in the bottom right hand side of your screen when fishing, to make it easier to understand. And it also works like a Warframe ability where you'll have a hotkey to switch to each of the items you have available. Now the Grenier Shipyard defense tile set has also seen some changes. They've improved the defense target navigation by changing the pathing. They have built additional buildings around the defense target path at both defense locations. They've added additional enemy spawn locations for each defense location, giving the AI more of a 360-degree attack option. They've adjusted turrets within the level. They've added additional cover and attack routes for the AI. The rail upon which the defense tram travels on is now electrified, and they've moved the hack panels to make them easier to find in certain Grenier tile sets. Now, the Equinox alternate helmet is finally here. It has been like a year or so, I believe, since they first started working on it, but it is now in the game, and you can pick it up for Platinum. Now, they've also added another peculiar mod into the game. This one is shooting an enemy with a weapon will cause their limbs to expand and inflate. You can pick this up in the Sanctuary Onslaught game mode. The operator also received new UI, where it's just a straight equipment, focus, and appearance tabs that you click instead of going further down the rabbit hole. They've added new music to the star chart and loading screens. They've added a north indicator to both the Plains of Eidolon minimap and advanced map. They've added a show ability banner on cast toggle to your interface options, which would make it so it says the text when you cast an ability. You can replay the Once Away quest. They have added the repurposed Kuva defense tile set into the Kuva survival missions. Objects that attract weapon fire, like mags magnetized, will now do so in a more logical way. They've added a claim all button to the foundry, and weekly leaderboards will now show a reset timer for anyone that gives a fuck about that. They've added a new camera UI to the advanced mode in the Captura. They now show what camera is being highlighted. They've added tooltips to help you know what's going on with these settings. Captura text now supports commas. They have improved the speed multiplier controls for controllers, and they've fixed cinematic mode but not reappearing when swapping these settings. As for Khora, there is some changes here. They've increased the range of ensnare, removed the line of sight check from ensnare to make it more reliable. Range mods will now affect Whipclaw's AoE radius, but it is capped. Khora's Whipclaw can now damage decorations, crates, barrels, etc. Khora's Kavat now teleports to a given target instead of actually running there. They've changed Khora's Venari animations from domestic Kavat to feral Kavat, and adjusted a number of Syandanas to fit Khora better. They also tweaked Venari's command sounds. Now, as for fixes, they fixed a foot shuffle animation with Whipclaw. They fixed the glitch where if you used Whipclaw on an instant enemy and spread it to nearby enemies and killed the initial enemy, the others would wake up. That is no longer the case. They fixed Khora's Venari getting locked in her attack mode when attempting Mastery Rank test. They fixed infinite re-whipping for Khora's Whipclaw by flailing the camera around rapidly. They fixed Ospreys not being fully disabled by Khora's ensnare. And they fixed Venari freezing in place when entering the Plains of Eidolon and duplicating if you went back out. Now, Napalm and Rocket Bombards received some quality of life changes. As for Bombards, they have reduced the explosion radius from 6 meters to 4 meters. They have lowered the Tusk Bombard's base health from 350 to 300. And they fixed the smoke trail disappearing after a short duration after firing. Now, as for Napalm, they've reduced the explosion radius from 10 meters to 4. Why the fuck was it 12? Jesus Christ. They've reduced lifespan of fire explosion effects from 10 seconds to 7 seconds, and they've added a damage element to those fire effects. And they've also done the same with the Bombard, making it so the smoke trail follows the rocket until it blows up. Now, as for changes to the base game, melee attacks will no longer sweep through walls or objects. Numerous weapons have received the PBR treatment. These include the Flux Rifle, Lanker, Ram, Kraken, Marelock, Grinlock, Cronin, Karak, Twin Gremlins, Bruck, and the Seared. The Ceramic Dagger has also received a new look. They've made nearly 10,000 micro-optimizations to a number of scripts, including Warframe powers, precepts, enemy logic, the weapon behaviors, game modes, and the UI. Harrow's Condemn, Thurible, and Gara's Shattered Lash can now be used on ziplines. Gara's Splinter Storm now applies a HUD buff when casted. Operators now emit pain grunts when experiencing fall damage. Eidolon lures will now wait until the Eidolon has fully disappeared to be auto-destroyed. They've removed the Related Items tab from Syndicate offerings, opened even more previously locked treasure walls in the Void. You can now spawn in the observatory upon returning to the dojo after a mission. They increased the door opening speeds on the Grineer Settlement and Grineer Galleon tile sets. They polished the animations of the Steel Meridian and Cephalon Suda Syndicate Handshake emotes. They reduced the frequency of large Grineer Settlement tiles appearing in extermination missions to help them feel a little less long. They removed legacy loot crates from Void Onslaught tiles. They increased the time given by targets in round 11 Mastery Rank tests from 3.5 seconds to 5 seconds. They turned down the volume of bullet impacts on players' flesh and shield. They changed the dead end message that appears when viewing a dojo expansion doorway upon hitting room limit to say maximum room count reached. Crouching is now stateful. If you let go of a crouch when in a small tunnel, your Warframe will now stand up when it can. They've updated the ambience in the simulacrum by removing repeating music loops. They revised and improved several rock and cave materials and meshes. Quality of life changes for Grineer cell doors in rescue missions. They changed the marker on the panel used to move the tram in one of the Grineer asteroid tiles to use different icon. They disabled challenges in some quest missions, such as use your first power 5 times. They made a number of fixes and changes to the co-op doors in the Corpus rescue missions. They changed the default state to locked where the doors were closing to fix spawning issues. They replaced markers with a new type. They added state icons to all the doors. They added a new marker type on panels for consistency. They added activation sounds to the door context actions. They aligned door hints with the ground and changed widths to fit the doors. They removed the panels from the opposite side of the door. They shortened the delay before the doors open when panels are activated. They fixed the door closing after being opened, fixed materials on the tram door so it doesn't look like a dead end, and they fixed some broken material script properties. They also polished the idle animations, agile and noble, spear gun variant animations. They updated several ability stat descriptions to make them clearer, standardized format across all Warframe ability descriptions, so they converted decimals to whole numbers. They changed range to radius for several Warframe abilities as well. Now, Syndicate pickups are now auto-marked on the first pickup, removed erroneous stats for Sentinel UI, such as energy and sprint speed. Lotus is now less chatty in the Fisher missions. They also shortened and simplified most levels for Vor's prize mission. They adjusted the Mithra sign data based on feedback. Arcane ranks are now on the side of the icon rather than in the name field. You can now purchase multiple copies of Arcane Blueprints in Hawk and Quill's offerings. They increased the in-mission volume of Octavia's Horror Sound Pack by 0.5 decibels. They tweaked the Nova Lamia skin to better match the Steam Workshop images. They tweaked the Skyron Zephyr skin to be more shiny and metallic instead of matte. They tweaked the emissives of the Excalibur Sentient Slayer skin. They tweaked the Malzer Oculus Lisette skin to improve the emissive details. Exodius Contagion Infested Grenade 30-meter damage multiplier will now also take into account your combo multiplier. They have moved the Earth to Kull node slightly to not overlap quest text. Onslaught mission credits are now rewarded every 2 successful zones. The Mashuzu Sayandana is now animated. They've replaced primary and secondary tiles of Argonaut fire models with semi and auto. You can now fast travel to navigation in the pause menu once you have your observatory completed in the dojo. They've tweaked the Harrow's Pennant's impact sound to have a less high-frequency ringing, repositioned the Simulacrum's enemy selector settings and kill enemy buttons, and they changed the Ghoul Purge World State window text from Progress 0 to 100% to Ghoul Activity 100 to 0% to be more in line with other events. Now, as for fixes, they're up on your screen because this is being way too fucking long. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.